when it comes to physical appearances, I've never been the one to talk about my body because I don't think it's fine. But after seeing my body on this wrap dress, forget it. Call me Chisom Fine Shape because it's so fine. Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. Today's tutorial will be on how I achieve this beautiful wrap dress I have on right now. So I hope you guys find it helpful, and let's jump right into it. For this project, we're going to need tailor's chalk, ruler, measuring tape, elastic, curve ruler, this is very optional, your scissors, marker, and your material. Then also we are going to need a cardboard paper or whatever big paper you have. This will ensure that you don't waste your material, you don't cut directly on your material and waste it. The measurements you're going to need are shoulder to waist, then shoulder to nipple or bust point, shoulder to hip, then your full length, mine was 37, and then your hip measurement, your waist measurement, your bust measurement, and your shoulder measurement. Place your shoulder to nipple or your bust point measurement on your cardboard paper, then your shoulder to waist measurement, indicate it, then indicate your shoulder to hip measurement. Then after indicating it, you draw a straight line. After that, we are going to place our circumference measurements. You place your shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then you place your neck width, which is 3.5 inches, on that same line. For the depth of the neck, I'm going to make it 1 inch because it's the back, and I'm just going to connect the lines. Next is to place your bust measurement divided by 4 on the bust point line. You place it. Then place your waist measurement divided by 4 on the waistline, and your hip measurement divided by 4 on the hip line. Then you connect the lines. The hip line, you draw from the hip line, you draw a straight line down to the hem of your dress, your desired dress length. From the bust point line, I'm going to measure 2 inches. Then I'm going to connect it to the bust point, and then draw a straight horizontal line. After that, I'll go back to where I indicated my shoulder point and come down by 1 inch. This is going to serve as my shoulder slope. Then I draw a vertical line which will serve as my armhole line. Next is to draw my armhole curve. You can do this with freehand. As you can see, I went back to redraw my armhole curve. Then I try to make my sharp lines curvy instead of straight. This is very optional. Next is to cut. I forgot to draw my shoulder slope that I talked about earlier, so I went back to indicate it, draw it, and cut it off, which you would see in the next video. Cut my shoulder slope, and that's it for the back. For the front, I'll fold my paper into two equal parts, and then I'll place the back pattern on top of the front pattern, pin it together, and cut. This is how it will look after cutting. Then we're going to do some modification to the front. You draw a straight line from the shoulder to the waist. Then another line from that point of the waist to the hem. At the end of the day, I ended up cutting off 10 inches from the hem of the dress. This will give your dress that fine curved opening you see in wrap dresses. After cutting, the next thing is to fold your fabric into two. Place your back pattern on top of it. Add your 1-inch sewing allowance, then cut. But to make it easier for you, just add your allowance to the pattern paper. For example, if your measurement is 36 inches, you add your 1-inch allowance, making it 37 inches. That way, you just place your pattern on your fabric and cut. Repeat the same thing for the front pattern. Please, for accuracy, measure your armhole after you must have joined your fabric. I'm getting the measurement of my armhole to use it to cut my sleeve. I'm folding my fabric into 4. Next is to indicate the length of my sleeve. Mine is 16 inches. Then after indicating it, I'll cut it off. I'm using the armhole measurement I took earlier for the width of my sleeve, and I'm just drawing it all through the sleeve. Then I'm going to measure 5 inches on the place I indicated for the width of my sleeve. Then I'm going to draw my armhole curve. Just follow what I'm doing, no need to overthink it, and join it to the 5 inches. After that, I'm cutting it. Again, for accuracy, your sleeve should be the last thing you do. That way you get the correct measurement after joining your fabric. Thank you. The next thing I did was to arrange my fabric in order to join the sides. The line I drew there was the 1-inch line for the sewing allowance. That is also where I'm going to sew. After joining my fabric, I'll go ahead to hem the edges of my fabric and also the neck. Just fold, put your pin so that it will be easier for you to sew. So I'm going to use the rest of my material for my fabric. I had 2 materials left and I cut them, each of them, into 2 more rectangular materials. So at the end of the day, I had 4 materials, 4 rectangular materials, which I divided into 2 parts. Then I joined the 2 parts together to make one long material. So at the end of the day, I had 2 long materials for my belt. Then I folded it and joined the edges. Then after that, I used my spoon to turn the belt into the right side. The next thing I did was to attach my belt to my dress, just that way. After that, I cut an opening on the waist on the right side of my dress for the belt to pass through. The next thing I did was to join the shoulders together to sew. It's after this part that you're supposed to take your armhole measurements, actually. Next is to sew my sleeve together in order to join it to my dress. I'll try my best to explain this. The next thing I did was to take the part where I joined my sleeve, the right side, and join it to the right side of my armhole where I joined my dress. Just pin it. Look at what I'm doing. Just from there, you can now start pinning it round. Let the right side face each other. That's the right side of my sleeve and the right side of my dress. At the end of the day, when you turn it, it's going to look like this. Then for the hem of my sleeve, I'm going to fold it like this is 1/2 inch. Then fold it and sew it round. This is going to serve as a space where my elastic will pass through. After sewing it, you take your elastic. Mine was 7 inches long, and you pass it through the tube. When you're done, you tie it, you knot it to secure it. Then you hem the hem of your fabric. Hem the hem. For the pearls, I bought this fabric glue. Just drop it on your fabric, take the pearls and drop it on top of it, and that's it. And this is the final result. Please like, comment and subscribe if you found this tutorial helpful. I'll see you guys in my next video. God bless and bye.